Joining me now are the pros taking a look at this group. Ross Gerber, President and CEO of Gerber Kawasaki Wealth and Investment Management, and Seth Goldstein, Equity Strategist, Energy Resources at Morningstar. Thank you both for being with us. Ross, I had a guest on recently, and I was saying how most people seem very positive on Tesla, including you. You've done a great job here, talking about what Tesla has done. This guest in particular was very bearish. Where do you stand, and why do you still think Tesla's a leader and a winner?
Do you have Gordon on again? I mean, there's no reason to be bearish if you're making electric vehicles, because I've never seen demand for electric vehicles in the history of electric vehicles like we're seeing today. When you see the way that oil prices are so unstable and continue to rise, and the effect it's had on consumers and people's personal balance sheets, along with the fact that oil and gas has been weaponized by Russia as a weapon against Western societies while they commit genocide in Ukraine, there's never been a more compelling time to go green, buy an electric, and put solar on your house. So Tesla's production has been very good the first 2 months of the quarter here. We're hoping that there's no disruptions in China in September, and we expect record numbers from Tesla this quarter.
Yeah, and I know you also liked Tesla here, Seth, as you were looking at the group, in addition to a name like Albemarle, which takes a different view into what we're seeing here for EVs. Tell me a little bit about what your views are.
When we look at best ways to play the EV adoption theme, we like lithium as one of the best trends because all EV batteries need lithium as the energy storage component of the battery. So when you're investing in lithium, you're just investing that there will be more EVs on the road tomorrow than there are today. You're not betting on a specific car maker. You're not even betting on a specific battery technology. You're just saying EV adoption will occur and continue to grow. And if you're looking at lithium producers, Albemarle is one of the lowest cost producers globally. They have some of the best resources, which means that they can take advantage of the higher lithium prices that we expect to remain in place for longer as EV supply, or as lithium supply, will struggle to keep up with massively growing demand.
And as we look at the group and the demand that's there, right, and I think you're making a great point about looking at not just the makers, but looking at some of the parts that go into this. Ross, do you like other names in the group? I know Tesla has been a name that you've liked for a long time. People seem really hot on what Ford's pumping out, but there's so many names in the group, and even new ones like, that we don't talk about as much, Polestar and others.
Yeah, in my fund GK, we have a 25% allocation to clean energy and transportation currently. And so you have Tesla as our top holding and sort of our main EV, energy play. But then you've got great players in lithium. I think that's a very good point. Lithium is a commodity you want to own. We own SQM. And Albemarle is also a very good company. So, either play I think is good. And then we also MP Mines for rare earths for making EV motors, because that's also a component, and it's based here in the United States. And then, of course, a company like Polestar, which people continue to not talk about, but yet it's like the number 2 EV maker here in the United States. Right now, they're making more EVs than a lot of other people. They just are on track now to hopefully make 50,000 cars this year, and they're wonderful cars. So we've got Polestar, and then, of course, BYD and others in China that are also mass producing and doing a good job scaling their production. So we're seeing the largest percentage of cars being bought EV that we've ever seen in history.
Yeah, and with that, there doesn't seem to be much of a slowdown in what we're seeing for demand, only a rise. And you have some countries that are 50% EVs at this point. We're so far behind, right, Seth?
Yes. The U.S. lags the global adoption average, and in fact is just now surpassing about 5.5% to 6% BEV sales. When you look at places like China, you look at many of the European Union and other European countries, they are having much higher EV adoption rates because the government's acted quicker. They provided more generous subsidies. They've been faster to build up the charging infrastructure that helps alleviate the road trip anxiety that still holds EV adoption back for many consumers. So for many consumers, we see price and functionality as sort of the two barriers to adoption. But the governments in Europe and China have been more proactive than the U.S. to address some of these issues quicker, whereas we've seen the U.S. have just started to pass things like the infrastructure bill last year, the Inflation Reduction Act earlier this year, that will help support longer-term EV adoption and help us catch up.
Yeah, and Ross, still a fan of Elon Musk these days, even with all the press that he's gotten with Twitter and all that, because I had on a great guest recently who was just talking about his vision and just what an incredible company it really is, and how now after the stock split, people are still really hot on the Tesla stock. Ross, final thoughts?
Tesla stock valuation is not out of control anymore. It's actually a really reasonable valuation for its growth rate. I don't want to mince words here because, of course, there's risk involved with investing, but investing in Tesla and EV and green energy infrastructure is the most consequential and important investment theme of the next decade, not only for human life and our existence in a non-burning up world, but also for really neutering the enemies of America, Russia, Saudi Arabia, Iran. We basically fund the people who are building nuclear weapons to destroy our country. So there's no more obvious theme to me than investing in electric vehicles and green energy. And that's why it's such an important part of my fund. And it really, my whole purpose for the next decade will be investing in these themes, because I think there's, once again, no more obvious and consequential investment theme where technology can have such an enormous impact on human life in a positive manner.
Yeah, and we'll leave it there. I mean, there was just so much talk about what was going on in California with the energy and the push for EVs, but the prices of oil and trying to conserve energy, it just seems like a lot going on. But the big picture is EVs are still very much in demand. Ross Gerber and Seth Goldstein, thank you both very, very much.